As a little kid, Nora Tideman's dad, Tobias, shows her the folklore of savages and the beginning of their nearby mountains. During one story, Nora nearly sees the essences of savages went to stone in the stone face. Years after the fact, a boring activity burrowing through the mountains of Dover brings about an emission and the passings of a few specialists and protesters. Frantic for replies, the Norwegian government enlists a different cluster of researchers, including Nora, who is presently a scientist on her most memorable significant find. While the gathered researchers at first accept that the emission was brought about by the diggers hitting a pocket of methane, just Nora and the state leader's counselor, Andreas Isaksson, call attention to that the locale is encircled by enormous impressions that have all the earmarks of being impressions. The state leader licenses them to examine the chance further with Norwegian military fighter, skipper Chris Holm, when a second occurrence miles away destroys the home of an old couple close to Lesja. Nora starts to accept that a savage might be dependable, and the three look for help from Tobias, who has since lost his residency for his confidence in the presence of a genuine reason for legendary animals. After a speedy hunt of the mountains, Tobias recognizes a geological irregularity in the four inadvertently stir the sleeping savage, having covered itself on the mountainside. They avoid catching the primary substantial video evidence of Nora's hypothesis. The head of the state orchestrates a tactical activity drove by Chris. Be that as it may, customary weapons just pester the savage. Tobias takes a stab at speaking with the savage, however is killed when the animal is frightened by more gunfire. Investigating the folklore, Nora suggests a sonic assault utilizing church chimes, yet it infuriates rather than cripples the animal, causing monstrous blowback. Following the frenzy, worldwide media sources get the story and communicated it universally. As the savage heads to Norway's capital Oslo, the state leader arranges a total departure of the city. Subsequent to learning of the public authorities' arrangement to obliterate the savage with an atomic bomb on Oslo, Nora and Andreas object, yet are excused from the team. Nora makes a last endeavor to figure out reality with regards to the animal. Tobias' notes lead them to the regal castle, where they meet head of court Rikard Sinding, who uncovers reality with regards to savages in Norway. Tobias had been correct from the start. Savages had been living in Norway until they were cleared out by Christian pilgrims and reality covered in fables. At the point when Nora's dad got excessively near reality, Sinding had him defamed and focused on a psychological wellness clinic. The illustrious royal residence was based on top of the savage ruler's castle after the Christians slaughtered his family and left him for dead inside a cave in the Dovre Mountains. Nora presumes that the animal is setting out toward Oslo trying to get back. Finding that savages are powerless against direct daylight, Nora and Chris intend to open the savage to UV light from various tanning beds. While Chris approaches individual troopers to make the savage snare, Andreas asks his companion Sigrid at the mysterious government office to defer the besieging of Oslo. Sigrid hacks into the tactical's framework to end the atomic strike. Nora and Andreas place the skull of one of the savage's children toward the rear of the sovereign's truck and bait him to the UV light snare. Nora triumphs when it's all said and done, a somewhat late shift in perspective, switches out the lights, and attempts to save the animal's life. In any case, the sun then, at that point, ascends into a reasonable sky and kills the savage. While every other person cheers, Andreas and Nora keep thinking about whether more savages are as yet alive somewhere inside Norway's mountains. In the repercussions, something appears to arise with a thunder from the rubble inside the Dovre mountain cave.